Line Books present the audiobook of Overpopulation, the hidden agenda for global reset. Scene 17. Red Band in Eco-Atlantic City, Lagos. You are using me! That's not true. You want me to support your push to sell Nigerian water for war wings. Well, I won't. Mamadou turned stroppy. She had made a call after which her behaviour had changed. Mamadou, listen to me. War wings will mean investment in high-tech water solutions. Healthier, better quality water. You heard what President Muhammad said. If you are to avoid infections, people must drink from tap water. It will improve the health of your people. A growing country like Nigeria will need it. Your population is exploding, as are all West African nations. Nigeria must set the example. You are front and centre of the African dawn. War wings will ensure your people have access to first-class water. It will put an end to all this disease and infection killing your people. You are white and don't understand. Nigeria is already rich. We have billionaires. Yet still we are poor. More money will not help. It will simply make the rich even richer. But if you had more money, more people would be better off. No, your trickle-down effect is a lie. I would not be a part of it. I want honest jobs for Nigerians. Nigerians, we are hard-working people. We don't want to lose our water. You may lose your water if you don't work together. Your rivers flow across borders. It is important for West African nations to work together for the benefit of all. War wings will work for Nigeria and the collective to form better deals for all of you. Otherwise, you will end up in conflict with your neighbours, and China will come along and negotiate separate deals with each West African nation, and you will get a worse deal. Do it for Nigeria, Mamadou, for your people. No, I don't want your trickery. You forget I am half Chinese. She smiled at him, with eyes as innocent as a 12-year-old. We will enhance China and force out everyone white. Banks was stunned. Her logic was breathtaking. Right. Sounds like a plan. If you will excuse me. Banks wandered over to the far side of the plane and called 22. You've been bitten, haven't you? No. Our target has gone rogue. How so? Let's just say her views are rather unorthodox. There's no way I'm going to get her to Eco City. Not to worry. Spyron will manage. How? Don't worry. Just keep her out of sight and occupied until after midday. Whatever we do, she'll probably go on the offensive. After midday today, you can throw her to the dogs. Banks hung up. He felt deflated. After landing at Lagos Airport, they taxied to the lay-by, where two sets of security awaited for them. One was two white cars with officials who looked British. The other was a cluster of three black Alfa Romeos with members of what looked like the Black Supremacist League, standing in a menacing pose. As soon as Mamadou descended from the plane, she ran away from Banks and into the embrace of the Black Supremacists. A rear door opened and from the car stepped a short, stocky man in a grey suit. Vitellius, the bastard. Vitellius put his arm around her back, and without looking back, Mamadou slipped into the rear seat of an Alfa Romeo. Behind her, with a gloat of self-satisfaction in place, Vitellius glanced over at Banks. Banks raised a hand to him, but remained tight-lipped. It was courtesy Vitellius did not return. He returned his middle finger and emphasized it in an upward jerk. Then, lips rippling with disdain, he too slipped into the back of his car. The doors to all three Alphas clunked shut, and they performed tight arcs then made a silent exit along the edge of the runway. "Who are they?" asked the official who had come to meet Banks. "Mafiosi." As Banks watched the cars disappear behind the arrival's terminus, the official wondered who he had been sent to pick up. Having booked and settled in to the Achebe International, he set up his computer. He had been sent codes allowing him to monitor and control all public cameras in Atlantic City. He planned to monitor the protest and Mamadou's speech from his hotel room. People were making their way through the streets of Victoria Island on their way to Eco Boulevard. Their numbers were many, perhaps tens of thousands, but on the generous dual carriageways of Atlantic City, they appeared insignificant. All news channels were reporting Mamadou's expected midday public appearance on Eco Boulevard. It was a hot, sultry day, and one local vendor began offering free water. He was soon swamped by protesters, frantic for water. They created a bottleneck of tightly packed, shuffling bodies, which was captured on camera, and later used by news channels as their signature shot for the Mamadou special. Banks flicked to the BBC. "All roads in and out of Atlantic City are now at standstill. Despite the ban, red band protesters have turned up in their thousands." Close-up of shuffling bodies. "The occupants of these skyscrapers around me are now trapped. Movement around the city is impossible. Police have fired tear gas, but so far red band refuse to leave. All await the arrival of their leader, Mamadou, who is due to make an address here on Eco Boulevard at midday. This is Idris Madaki for the BBC, Lagos." As midday approached, Banks turned to his feeds. He had control over all public cameras. He rotated a camera that monitored the rostrum along Eco Boulevard, from where Mamadou was to make her address. It stood empty. Total audience numbers surrounding were comparable to that of a local football match, not exceptional. As midday approached, the skies opened and Lagos was treated to a deluge of heavy rain. Protesters ran for cover. Security cameras showed empty streets. At midday, and on schedule, a tall, thin Asian girl took to the rostrum. Apart from her height, she looked nothing like Mamadou. As she began to speak, it was clear that her accent was different too. Onlookers were confused. The girl finished her speech, waved at those gathered, then left the rostrum. It looked bad. She did not look or sound like Mamadou. The crowds continued to wait, convinced that Mamadou was yet to appear. Al Jazeera reported a different picture. Cameras zoomed in on the rostrum. Center of shot stood Mamadou. "Welcome, Lagos!" A voice perfect, too. "Welcome, Red Band! My brothers and sisters, we have been oppressed for too long. With this new century, this new currency, our destiny is within reach." There was a pan of the masses waving at her in the sunshine. No rain in sight. "Mamadou stands with you. You will stand with me." Whistles and horns blew, and hundreds of thousands danced and sang. Cameras zoomed in on an audience in total solidarity. "Next week, we face a decision. For our people, vote yes. For the African century, vote yes. For Nigeria to join West African Water Incorporated, vote yes. I, Mamadou, will vote yes. Will you support me?" Mamadou waved at the crowds. A long shot above the singing, dancing red band protesters zoomed in on Mamadou's joyous face and froze as she screamed out, "I love you, Lagos! I love you!" The image was syndicated around the world. Banks flicked to NBC. "Authorities estimate more than 3 million attended today's red band meeting." Fox News. Lagos was brought to a standstill today as Mamadou lent her support to the Yes campaign for Nigeria to join West Africa Water Incorporated. Al Jazeera. The fate of Warwinks will be put to the people next week in a common plebiscite. The vast majority of Nigerians support the move to join the new West African conglomerate, Warwinks, and are expected to deliver a yes verdict. Then RT News. Millions turned out to witness netizen sensation Mamadou lent her support for West Africa's new water giant Warwinks. The water conglomerate, which will become the world's largest company, is expected to be sold as early as next month. Banks estimated that due to the heavy rain, only a few dozen or 50 or so thousand who turned up would have heard the Mamadou look-alike. Clever editing and CGI had created a different story, a story syndicated around the world. The BBC. Police have stated that they have credible intelligence of an attack to the Great Wall of Lagos being imminent. The 8-kilometre man-made barrier that protects Eco-Atlantic City from the sea is now subject to paramilitary protection. Only time will tell if this protest ends peacefully or if authorities will be forced to ramp up their response. This is Idris Madaki for the BBC, Lagos. Banks closed his screen. Banks called Billy. Vitellius has stolen Warwinks from us. So you know. Yes. Banks recalled the Italian coffee, the Alfa Romeos, and the smug look on Vitellius's face. He's some card, isn't he? Vitellius can wait. We need to deal with Mamadou first. She's served her purpose. Banks thought of the beautiful young woman, the threat of Vitellius. She was compromised. They had built her. It was now time to end it. So, what are you thinking we'd do? Asked Billy. Release the dogs. Scene 18. Mamado Diop. The world is in shock this morning at the death of Mamadou Diop. She died last night from injuries sustained in a late-night attack. Lagos police state that she was approached as she left a restaurant with friends and was attacked by no-campaigners who beat her with batons and iron bars. Rushed to hospital, she later died of head injuries sustained in the attack. Doctors attending to her stated that her last words were for her family and in support of the new West African water conglomerate, Warwinks. Global pressure group Red Band have announced a memorial for Mamadou to be held in Victoria Park on Tuesday. Millions are expected to attend. This is Idris Madaki reporting for the BBC, Lagos. The vote took place and was won by the Yes campaign. Consequently, Nigeria and 17 other West African nations agreed to the creation of West Africa Water Incorporated, Warwinks, a conglomerate that would control all supply, treatment, and management of water to 18 West African nations. All that remained was the battle between Delange Martin, led by Philip Banks, and Vitellius, with Chinese backing, to buy Warwinks. Scene 19. Deep Fake Urban Rebel. The morning after the vote, Banks awoke with a yawn and reached for the news, which came to life on his wall. 4 millions of loyal followers around the world who knew Mamadou as a character on a computer game, there is disappointment and anger to find that Mamadou never actually existed. Footage of Mamadou delivering her speech on Eco Boulevard was being played. Evidence obtained by Nigerian police reveal that Ubiquity faked Mamadou as part of a promotion for their computer game Urban Rebel. Footage showed Mamadou suddenly switching to the decoy girl used on Eco Boulevard, who neither looked or sounded like Mamadou. Developers at the media analytics agency admitted to manipulating social media and using CGI and voice simulation to fake her public appearances. Footage showed a teenager playing on a computer controlling the Mamadou character, who was standing before a rally of thousands of Red Band protesters. Ubiquity have taken responsibility and issued a statement. It was not the intention of the board of Ubiquity or any of its staff to mislead the public by creating a mixed-race, anti-establishment heroine purely for commercial gains. Ubiquity have agreed to pay all proceeds from their Mamadou Urban Rebel game to the charity Red Band. This is Idris Madaki reporting for the BBC, Lagos.